Are we? Oh my gosh, we're live. Hey, I did not notice that, everyone, that we were live. I was waiting for a countdown, but I don't see that when I'm the one doing the presentation and not running the program. Thank you all for joining us tonight. If you are here, we are so excited. All of us here at SDE, myself, Lori, the whole team are super excited to start this new series with all of you called Never Stop Being a Student Live. And what we want this to become is a free educational PD opportunity for teachers who are in the classroom right now, hearing from teachers that are in the classroom or had been in the classroom, but some of our quote unquote experts here at SDE. And tonight we are super fortunate to be joined for our first episode of the series by an educator who just spews positivity. Her name is Shakara Hill. I had the lucky opportunity of meeting her in Las Vegas this summer. And some of you may know her blog more than names. I think that happens in this world sometimes. It's called the Excellent Educator. And we are super excited to talk about her, what she's up to, conferences, and just how we can learn more from her. So thank you, Shakara, for joining us. It's good to see you.
Thank you for having me, Adam.
So how is the weather in Atlanta?
The weather is pretty hot. I'm ready for fall, but it's pretty good.
Are you a pumpkin spice latte girl, like when the weather changes?
Not a pumpkin spice latte girl, but I did buy a pumpkin today. Don't judge me.
Did you?
I did.
Already decorating, huh? I've already hit the Dunkin' pumpkin coffee a couple times. I'm a pumpkin coffee guy.
I haven't done that quite yet, but
no, that's all right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I know you are a busy lady, so thank you for taking time out of your day. We really appreciate this, and how cool that you're the first one of this new series.
Absolutely, yay!
So tell us a little bit about you, because like I said, a lot of people probably know you from your blog, The Excellent Educator, which, by the way, is a phenomenal looking website. But I know you've got more to share. So tell us a little bit about you, your background in education, then we'll get on to kind of what you're up to now.
Absolutely, yes. So I am a kindergarten teacher. I don't say former, because once a kindergarten teacher, always a kindergarten teacher.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I was in the classroom for 5 years, and I often tell people it was like 10. Every year, every experience I had, it really just brought me out of my comfort zone from year 1 to year 5. So that's kind of where my background is. I also worked with pre-K teachers across the state in my former position, where I trained teachers and directors statewide. And I helped a lot of pre-K teachers with content, with behavior, just different strategies that the state required or that the state wanted us to provide training on. And so a lot of my background has been in the earlier age groups. And I really have a passion for math in those age groups, although I really work with literacy and other areas too.
So you're well-rounded. I love that. I have a passion for math, but I teach this. And I love that you say once a kindergarten teacher, always a teacher. And that's one of the things that I'm sure you experienced stepping out of the classroom when you did, that I have experienced too, is people saying, well, you're not a teacher anymore. I said, no, I am. I'm teaching teachers who then teach students. So it's a fun experience, isn't it, to get to work with educators on a daily basis. So I love that. And all in Atlanta or Georgia area?
Well, right now, yes.
Okay. Very cool. All right. So out of the classroom now, working on that wonderful blog, but then you just told me about some really other cool information that you're working on, another website and some fun stuff for teachers. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So there's a need. I realize even though I've really worked a lot with pre-K and K, there's a need with younger age groups as well. And so in Georgia, I became a state-approved trainer, where I provide statewide training, coaching, and consulting through my company, seedconsulting.com. And so I usually will go and I'll have contracts with different schools, and I'll do their professional development, I'll do coaching, and whatever services they need to support teachers and sometimes the administration. So that's been awesome. I've enjoyed it.
Do you get to travel quite a bit with that or around the state?
I do. Sometimes I'll have repeat clients, so I'll stay with the school for a couple of weeks or what have you. But I do a lot of travel with that. But it's rewarding. I enjoy it.
You know, I had the opportunity to visit a couple schools in August for the first time as a trainer or presenter, and that was a blast. I love doing conferences, but actually going into a building and seeing where they are on a daily basis was so much fun.
It is. It is.
It's cool. So speaking of conferences, you are going to be kicking off SDE's fall event, you and some of our awesome friends in Louisiana Pre-K, right?
Yep, Pre-K.
So we have a number of presenters there. I know we launched our fall event video last week or the week before, and that's one of the first ones coming up. So what are you going to be talking about? What are some of your favorite sessions or favorite tips that you're going to be sharing there?
Yeah, so my first session is Math Minus Anxiety, which of course I tell you I do have a a soft spot for math. And so then I'll also be doing phonological awareness foundations. So doing a little bit with that. I also have a new session that I'm rolling out, literacy centers. And
Cool.
so I'll be doing a lot around the management and ideas for implementation. And then the final session is another new one that I've done a couple of times called Stepping Out of Your Comfort Zone as a Teacher. And so that one's really teacher-based, focusing on teachers as leaders.
Very cool. Let's talk about the math minus anxiety, because that's a huge topic right now. I see all over social media, mainly when people are bringing up the idea of homework and math and Common Core and math. So since we're calling this Never Stop Being a Learner, and we have teachers asking all the time about how to help with math and homework and questions and whatnot, what are, don't give away your session or your topic, but what are some of your favorite tips from that session that you're sharing?
I think the first thing is really understanding how you feel as a math learner. Sometimes we have these anxieties that you don't even realize you have, but understanding those and dealing with those and knowing that they transfer to children. So even if you had bad experiences and you may never say it, the way that you teach math and who you are as a math learner, it comes across in your instruction, believe it or not. So that's one of the main things that I always will, tell people. We have to think about our math experience, be it good or bad, and really deal with it and know how we're working with children and know certain key concepts. I give out 3 key concepts, no matter what age you teach, that will help you to be a confident and competent math instructor.
Very cool. I loved teaching math when I was in the classroom. I still do a lot with teachers when I go and work on math things, just because it can be so much fun. Like, it's so much more. And I use the hashtag a lot. Math is more than a worksheet, because unfortunately that's what it's shown to be in recent times, but it can be a really fun subject to teach. And there's so many ways to teach it.
So many ways, so many ideas for games and everything. That's one of the things I love.
Very cool. All right. So one of the things that we've been getting, and you having the pre-K experience might help with this quite a bit. A lot of questions I've been seeing on social media, and people have even reached out to myself or Lori. We've been getting a lot of questions about behaviors, management. I know it's beginning of the year, so that's kind of tricky. But a lot with younger students, we're seeing a lot more schools where the age minimum, I guess, is dropped below what I'm used to, that they all have to be 5 by a certain date, right? I had a teacher email me last week and said that half of her class or more are still at the age of 4, and it's a very young, needy group. I hate to use the word immature because that's a young age, right? It's hard to say they're immature when they're still 4 years old. So do you have any tips, tricks? What's your favorite maybe management idea or something that helped you get the ball rolling at the beginning of the year with your little ones?
Well, I always tell myself, especially when I work with teachers that have 4-year-olds, you have to first remember that 2 years ago, they just learned how to walk. You have to first put that in your mind, because sometimes our expectations are super high, and it's good to have high expectations, but we have to be realistic about their age and what's developmentally appropriate. So that's my first kind of perspective shift I like to put out there. The second thing, though, is really how you work with your kids. So, and when I was in the classroom and when I work with teachers that are in the classroom with those younger age groups, you have to really focus on how you address your kids. And so, yes, it's a class, but you have to make sure that you're addressing them as a class family and allowing that to really govern how you do everything with your management, with the way you talk to them, because it's different when they see themselves as a part of a family versus a class. They know what family is. They're still trying to understand what is a class and what is that whole concept. So those are 2 things that I really like to help teachers understand and give them ways to do that, because you have to start with what's familiar, right? You've got to start with something that they know, and they definitely know, family.
I love that. And my wife and I do a talk on family. I think you came to watch us do that talk. Yeah, it's like our favorite word with education, because from day one with your teachers as well, the staff has to act as a family, and then your classrooms have to look like a family, because when it comes down to it, you spend more time with those people than you do your own family, right?
Absolutely.
And I see in one of my favorite quotes, the wonderful Kim Bearden, who is co-founder of the Ron Clark Academy, has a quote that I saw online one time that said, if you're going to call your school a family atmosphere, then you better treat it like one. And I think that's a very, very important tip to remember, that just because you say, yeah, we're all very family oriented, doesn't mean you're acting like that. And I think that when we set the expectations way too high, sometimes it's hard to remember
Absolutely.
That simple little fact. So very, very good. I'm glad you brought up that word. I love that word. I'm going to put you on the spot, and I just thought of this. So some friends of mine run a Facebook group and a company called Teach Better, and they invited me to be a guest on one of their podcast episodes. And one of the things that they're doing, and this kind of goes along with our Never Stop Being a Student, they asked favorite book that I was reading at the moment that we recorded, or at the time, or a favorite book that you've read. So one of the ways that I know I grow professionally on a daily basis is I read. Whether it be a novel that I'm interested in, or an educational book just for some motivation, or some really, down to earth tips and strategies. So do you have a book off the top of your head, or maybe one you're currently reading, a good teacher book to help a teacher continue to learn?
One of my favorite, I haven't gotten a chance to start it yet, but Michael Bonner's book. I was actually going to partner with him and do one of my blog posts on it.
Oh,
but
yeah?
I think, one of my biggest things with teachers is that whole self-care piece. And that's kind of been one of the areas that I'm really interested in and reading more about, and helping teachers to grow in that area with that self-care. And so his book, Get Up or Give Up, is a really good book that I've started. I haven't really gotten too far because of timing, of course.
Yeah.
I think that book is a book that would really help teachers think about what they do, acknowledge the fact that it's hard work, and it has lots of the talk about relationships that we talked about and family in it. And so that's a good inspirational one that helps you as a teacher. I would probably say that one.
Very cool. And it's on my list. Have not read it yet, but I do love that, because I think it's from what I've read about it. And I think even on the cover, it talks about how he almost gave up on education. Isn't that like the tagline for it? That he's so transparent to the fact that he's going to say, listen, it was this hard. Here's how I fixed it. So I think that's a great reminder for people.
Yes.
Very cool. All right. So we've talked a lot about where you're going to be, what you're up to, but we want to follow you. So what is the easiest way, besides your websites, for people to follow you, social media accounts, where you're posting stuff, just whatever you're up to online?
Yeah, so on Facebook, I have a Facebook page, and you can find it at The Excellent Educator. I'm also on Instagram, and you can also find me at that handle, at The Excellent Educator. And I'm on Twitter, and that handle is The Excellent Edu, EDU. And so those are my 3 channels that you can follow me on for social media. And then I think I mentioned my website, if you wanted to follow that and kind of the content I put out, is www.seed-consulting.com.
Very cool. And I think Lori is linking everything in the comments. I'm not looking at them right now, but I think they'll be in there. If not, we'll get everything posted for everyone. You got anything else? That's all I have for you tonight. This was fun.
It was. I survived, so that's good.
I know. I was going to pick on you and say, this is Shakara's first live interview, but you did great.
I officially have been live on social media, so that's my accomplishment for the month.
Hey, there you go. And you know what? You've got so much to share, so I encourage you to keep doing it. If whether you're at a school or wherever you are, jump on and share, because you've got so much. And like I said in the intro, when I first met you, the positivity that you just surrounded you, and I know our good friend Cheryl introduced us, who again spews positivity, Miss Cheryl Turner. Yes. But I felt a connection, and my wife talks about you quite a bit too, because she's like, she just felt such a connection with your personality. So whatever you're doing, keep it up, because it's obviously working for you and for teachers and educators all over. But yeah, jump on and do some live for us.
I shall, and thank you so much for having me.
All right, thank you. Have a good one, and thank you guys for watching. We'll be back next week with another Never Stop Being the Student live. I'm not going to show you who that guest is yet. Actually, no, I take that back. Tomorrow. We're actually doing one tomorrow, Shakara. I don't know if you know that, but we're doing one tomorrow. And okay. I can't share this because it's out there already, but our good friend Regan Tunstall from Tunstall's Teaching Tidbits is going to be on our Never Stop Being a Student live tomorrow. We're going to be talking all about guided math and her guided math game plan conference that's coming up. So we're going to knock these out. We got you tonight, her tomorrow, and then another one next week. So thank you again. I appreciate it. Everybody go follow Shakara, and we'll put everything in the comments below. But have a good night.
Thank you. You too.